This summer, I spent a week in the town that inspired House Moving Castle. With charming fairytale buildings and cobblestone streets, Colmar is a town near the French-Germanic border in the Alsace region, which is best known for its white wine and storybook villages. The Little Venice is a main attraction in Colmar and it's surrounded by riverside restaurants. I really wanted to sketch, so we stopped at the next restaurant we saw, but sadly they didn't have anything gluten-free, so I had a bit of a depression meal consisting of just apple juice. It's definitely harder to be spontaneous when you have allergies, but overall the food in Colmar was great. I don't usually like steak, but the steaks here were so good. Apparently the Alsace region has the most Michelins in France, and it definitely felt like every other street had its own Michelin restaurant. The building I'm drawing right now is a seafood Michelin called Aux Trois Poissons. My favourite days in Alsace have to be the cycling days, where we rented bikes from Le Vélo Libre and cycled to nearby villages. Eguisheim was our first stop, voted one of the most beautiful villages in France. It was also the easiest cycling route from Colmar, just 30 minutes each way with no hills. If you're in Colmar, I really recommend trying this route, even if you aren't into sporty itineraries. I booked it mainly because my brother likes active holidays and I didn't want him to be bored, but it ended up being my favourite part of the holiday, and we even came back the next day to try a longer route. Eguisheim itself was just as beautiful as the cycling route, and I fell in love with this house as my family cycled further and further away from me. But I caught up with them at the village centre, where each building was more paintable than the last. It's a tiny village with a population of less than 2,000, so one day is more than enough to spend in Eguisheim. It really felt like a fairy tale village, and it's actually the town that inspired Belle's village in Beauty and the Beast. If you enjoyed the vlog so far, please leave a like or a comment below. It really helps my channel to grow. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more artsy or travel related content like this. When I'm sketching outside, I always focus on a specific part of the scene. Because I know I'm too slow to draw the whole thing, I just pick my favourite parts to draw instead. Even then, I rarely finish on site, but it's still fun to try. Because we had to return the rental bikes by 5, I didn't get very far with my sketch. It was at this point my brother cycled off into the sunset without realising we weren't behind him. And so after one family argument and one brain cell left between us, we hurried back onto Colmar to return our bikes before the deadline. The Eguisheim route was a gateway drug, and before we knew it, we were back the next day to do another. Circuit 8 looked perfect to go see Riquewihr and Ribeauvillé, two of the most beautiful villages in Alsace. Little did we know it was going to be an uphill battle on one of the hottest days of the week. It started off fine, but when we reached the hills we were really fighting for our lives. It doesn't even look that steep on camera, but trust me, it was so bad. At this point it was just hill after hill after hill, and that's when I realised we missed the steep hill warning. But we were way too far to turn back now, so we powered on to Kiersberg, our first pit stop for the day. After lunch we continued up the hills under the blazing sun, but then my mum fell off her bike mid-hill, so we gave up on filming and just focused on staying injury-free until the next stop, Riquewihr. The next days were pretty slow paced, museum hopping and relaxing in Colmar. We went to the Unterlinden Museum first, right opposite the tourism centre. We got tickets for €13 each and headed straight to the courtyard, which looks like the perfect place to sit and paint, or read a book. In two opposing corners of the courtyard stood two wells with intricate designs. The wells looked like something from a Hans Andersen story, and so I really wanted to sketch one. The cloisters around the courtyard were also really pretty, so I tried drawing one of those too. I was really excited to see the Hansi Museum. He's the artist that designed the illustrations on the glasses in the first restaurant we went to, but I didn't know he was amazing at painting landscapes and buildings as well. The hotel we stayed at was called L'Esquisse, which translates into sketch. It's a 10-minute walk from the train station and also a 10-minute walk to the town centre. The staff here was super friendly and the spa facilities were really good. It was my first time planning a family holiday, so I was kind of nervous that it wouldn't live up to expectations, but my family loved it, and even my dad, who usually hates travelling, wanted to come back. We had such a relaxing stay. To get to the airport, we took a train from Colmar to St. Louis, which takes around 35 minutes. Then at St. Louis, bus 11 will take you to the airport in 10 minutes. Euro Airport is run by France and Switzerland, so you can exit through the Swiss border as well. I've never been to Switzerland before, but it looks like the best place to go hiking and painting. Our flight was delayed by 2 hours, so I tried to finish my Colmar drawing while we waited. As always, if you're still here, thank you so much for watching until the end, and thank you everyone for subscribing, liking and commenting on my videos. It really means a lot to me. I'm always really happy when I see like familiar faces in the comments. You know who you are. And yeah, I've got exams soon, but I'll still be doing monthly posts. Next time I'll be back with a postcard from Prague. Love you lots, and until next time, take care.